Imagine, if you will, a desert landscape. A cold wind blows restlessly, and huddled together in the midst of this scene is a cluster of tents, the home to a small community.
Come, everyone. Gather in, gather around. The day is finally here. For so long, it's been getting colder and darker every day. 182 days, in fact. That's higher than some of you have learned to count. And today, on the coldest and darkest day of all, that's when we celebrate. That's when we tell the story again, and we remember that there is hope.
My grandmother counts the days as they go by. She has a book, she makes a mark, gives each a name. Sometimes it's a Saturday or something called the 7th. Sometimes it's December the 11th. My grandmother counts the days, I don't know why, when every day from dawn to dusk is just the same. Mother says it's meaningful, but I agree with Father. I don't see why anyone would bother. Time goes by, my uncle's beard gets grayer. In a while I'll be shorter than my brother. Each new day is no different from another still. My grandmother counts the days, I don't know why. My grandmother counts the days as they go by, until it's here. That day that she calls the best day of the year.
Aren't you done yet, Maya? Your father will be home any minute now.
Almost. How far do you think he went today? I wonder if he went east. I've never gone past the dunes, but he promised to take me the next time he goes.
Less daydreaming and more sweeping.
Why does it matter if the floor's clean?
Because tonight is special.
It doesn't seem any different to me. What's so special?
Maya, do you have to be difficult? Today of all days?
I'm not being difficult. I'm just asking a question.
It's almost time for the gathering. You don't want to miss your grandmother's stories, do you?
I've heard all her stories before, Mother.
But it's a tradition. Everyone else will be there.
All the children. I'm too old for that stuff.
Please, Maya. It means so much to Yamma.
I just don't believe in it anymore.
What don't you believe?
Any of it. It's fine for Joshi and the other kids, but grown-ups don't believe in those things.
I do.
You do?
Of course. I've never seen them, but I know Yamma has.
When I was a girl, a great many years ago, I can still remember there was a thing called snow. There was a thing called snow, falling from a cloud to blanket the land below. In a time known as December, there was a thing called snow. A great many years ago, there was a thing called snow. Powdery and white, slippery and wet, softer than a grain of sand, glittering in flakes, tickling your cheeks, melting in the palm of your hand. Once in a world I used to know, there was a thing called snow.
Okay, let's pretend snow existed. What would it be made of?
Well, Yamma says it's a kind of water.
Water comes from the ground, not the sky.
But you've seen a cloud, Maya. That's made of water. Just like steam from a kettle.
Steam is hot, and Yamma says snow was cold. And she says it covered all the ground. You know there's not enough water in the whole world to do that.
Yes, you win. It makes no sense, I know. But I believe it anyway. There are things we must believe in, even when we have no way of knowing the truth.
When I was a girl in happier times than these, trees. Growing all around us, there was a thing called trees.
There was a thing called trees.
Rising from the ground to sway in a gentle breeze. Taller than the tallest temple, there was a thing called trees.
There was a thing called trees. There was a thing called trees. There was a thing called trees.
Everywhere they grew, beautiful and green, canopies of shade were spread. Every little leaf trembling with life on the branches overhead. Once in happier days than these, there was a thing called trees. And there were so many kinds. Birches with silver bark, willows with their gently drooping boughs, pines and firs with their shiny, sharp needles.
Needles? Like for sewing?
Yes, Joshi, but softer.
I'd stay away from those.
Oh, but they were the most special kind. We called them evergreens because they stayed green all through the winter.
Weren't all trees green?
Some of the time, but not always. Once every year the snow would fall and all the trees would seem to die. Once there was something we called seasons.
There were reasons why.
Soon there would be a new rebirth, and all the earth would come alive for a thing we called spring. Now it's been so long since I've seen any green thing grow. But I can still remember life wasn't always so. Spring will come again, the trees will return, I know, as surely as there once was a thing called snow.
As surely as
There once was a thing called snow.
Happy holiday! And what a haul for the holiday.
You can take that right on in, Wujek.
I worked up such an appetite. I think I'm gonna eat most of this myself.
I was getting worried. You were gone so long.
We had to go a long way to find everything we needed.
Did you go east? Past the dunes?
Even farther than that. See here on the map.
Are these antlers our new tree?
This is the best I could find. It will have to serve.
I like it. It's taller than the old one, and I get to decorate it.
No one's fighting you for that.
No tree until after the feast.
Aww. Then I get to light the fire.
I already have the cook fire going.
Aww.
But you can go fetch more fuel, Joshi. Tonight we keep the fire going all night.
And I get to stay up late.
Don't be long. Bring the tree, Wujek. And Maya, sweep out this sand your father and uncle tracked in.
Maya reluctantly began to sweep. But as soon as she was alone, she dropped the broom and ran to her father's pack, which he had left behind. She grabbed his map and spread it out on the ground. On it were marked dozens of paths she had never traveled. As she studied them, she heard her father and uncle returning. Maya quickly rolled up the map and found a hiding place to listen in.
We shouldn't be feasting when we don't know how much longer we'll be able to find food.
But it lifts people's spirits. One night of feasting gives us courage to face another year of famine. And think of the children, Wujek. What else do they have to look forward to?
I do think of the children. And I wonder what kind of future there will be for Maya and Joshi. Every day we have to go farther and farther to gather supplies. It's only a matter of time before we've used up everything. And what then?
I suppose we'll have to pull up stakes like Father did.
And if we leave here, who knows if we'll find another source of water?
Of course, we might try the north.
There is nothing to the north. Only desert.
But the legends.
Yamma's stories are just that. Stories. Made up to entertain the children.
The north could be our last hope. If there's still a place where things can grow, then we wouldn't have to forage and scavenge.
I wish I could believe it. But I won't risk everything chasing after something that may not exist.
Careful, Wujek. I think the wolves may have ears.
Wujek gave a nod toward Maya's hiding place, and she emerged with a sheepish look. Her father grimaced, but then his face softened.
Better to endure.
And hope for change. Good night, Maya. We'll see you inside.
Maya was alone again, troubled by what she had heard. Suddenly her brother burst in, carrying a pair of buckets and swinging them like bells.
Ding dong dong.
Joshi, get that away from me.
What? It doesn't smell anymore. It's all dried out.
And thanks for letting the sand blow in again. I just finished sweeping it out.
Frustrated, Maya set down her broom and stepped out into the cool evening air. She gazed across the dunes as the sunlight faded. A breeze ruffled her hair.
Desert winds, you come to me from somewhere far away. I wish I knew the secrets you have come so far to say, because I hear you whispering in my ear, but the message isn't clear. Desert winds, this land of mine is dry and still as death. But when you're there to stir the air, there's sweetness on your breath. And I wonder if the place you come from is beautiful and green. And I wish that I could race beside you and see the things you've seen. If I could run faster than the winds blow, go everywhere they've been, I know I would find the answers there, where the winds begin. Desert winds, I've watched you carve your pathways through the sand, each a track that's leading back toward your native land. And imagine if tomorrow morning I boldly venture forth. I could follow on those winding pathways to find what's there up north. And I could run faster than the winds blow, go everywhere they've been. No walls could ever hope to hold me in. If they're real, let me see the snowflakes, feel them falling on my skin. And if there truly is a tree, I'll believe it when I see. And the only place on earth where it could be is there, where the winds begin. Where the winds begin.
Is that Maya?
Yes, Yamma, it's me.
My eyes get worse and worse. Do you know, I looked for you when I was telling my stories, and I couldn't find your face among all the others.
I'm sorry. I was helping Mother.
You don't have to be sorry. I forget sometimes. You're past 5,000 days now.
Am I really that old?
Yes, I've kept count.
Why do you count, Yamma?
Because I want to know when it's a holiday, of course.
But does it really matter? Why this day?
Tradition, I suppose.
So it's true, there's nothing special about today?
We make it special, Maya. It's special because we choose to celebrate it.
It just seems strange to me.
Of course it does. It's your 13th holiday. That was when your mother stopped believing, too.
Mother stopped believing?
Of course. Anya used to ask all the same questions of me, and she wouldn't listen either.
But why?
Who knows? I suppose she just needed to see for herself.
But what did she see?
Look there beyond, in the distance. What's there?
Rocks, sand, dirt. Nothing much.
I don't think that's true. If there wasn't something important, you wouldn't spend so much time looking. There are journeys we all must take on our own, Maya. Your mother had to find her own way, and I think you do too. Why don't you come back inside now?
I like it better out here. No Joshi to bother me.
All right then, but don't stay out too long, Maya.
Just another minute.
But Maya stayed outside much longer than a minute. She studied her father's map until the sun had set completely and only the light of Mother's lantern was left. By the time she went back inside, the fire had died down and everyone was exhausted. But she had made her decision. She waited until the whole tent was sleeping, quietly gathered her things, and set off on her own. Or so she thought. Joshi was far too excited to fall asleep, which was why he noticed a shadow quietly creeping out of the tent. In fact, it was a shadow that suspiciously resembled his sister. Where could she be going at this time of night, and with a knapsack? Joshi knew what he had to do. Stealthily, he gathered up supplies and followed her. It was not difficult to find Maya's trail across the moonlit sands, and soon he could see her ahead in the distance. Every so often, she would turn to look behind her. Joshi would duck and freeze until she turned around and continued on her way. Moving as quietly as he could with his own heavy pack, Joshi slowly gained ground. He had almost caught up when a clank from his pack caught her ear and she spun around. Joshi dropped to the ground and covered himself with his cloak, doing his best impersonation of a rock. Maya was not fooled. She stalked over and prodded the rock with her foot.
What are you doing out here?
What are you doing out here? We're not allowed to go wandering off on our own.
It's very dangerous.
I know, that's why I came.
Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I've been out overnight with Father before.
So where exactly are you going?
I'm not sure exactly. But generally, north.
Why?
To get away from you.
Well, you didn't. I think I know where you're going.
Can't you ever just leave me alone?
No, not unless you tell me where you're going.
Go home, Joshi. Joshi!
You're going to find the trees, aren't you?
Maybe.
So you do believe.
I didn't say that.
Mom's gonna be angry.
No, she won't. She'll understand.
What do you mean?
Yamma said that Mother had to find her own way too.
Don't you think that was just an expression?
No.
If you're going to find the trees, then I'm coming with you.
No, you're not.
You can't stop me from coming.
You're too young to go out on your own.
I won't be alone. I'll be with you.
I don't need your help.
That's what you think. When you set off on an expedition, you have to make a plan and carefully pick the things you pack right down to each pot and pan. You don't have any supplies or tools or even a mason jar. It's painfully clear if I wasn't here, you'd never get far. Did you bring water?
Of course I did.
And how about food? Aha! How far would you get without a biscuit?
I'll risk it.
Did you even think to bring some rope?
Nope.
A measuring cup?
I can get by without it.
I doubt it. A tinder box, some extra socks. You're lucky I came along.
Wrong. When you endeavor to cross a desert, you have to travel light. You don't want to take the kitchen sink and every spoon in sight. Look at you clattering over dunes like some bizarre bazaar. No camel or horse to haul it, of course. You'd never get far. You brought a cheese grater?
Laugh, sure. Maybe I'm younger, but I know how to get by. When you're dying of hunger, don't even try to get in on my biscuit supply.
We both know I'm a lot bolder. What I did, you never do. But I'm so much wiser and older. Maybe I knew somehow that you would follow and bring all those things with you too.
Here we are taking a trip together, whether we want to or not.
You always need to follow my lead.
And you need the stuff I've got. Maybe alone we were not so hot, but now as a team we are.
I've got to admit I was underprepared.
If it wasn't for you, I would never have dared. A sister and brother without one another, we never get far. What's that noise?
I don't hear anything. Just the wind.
Yes, the wind. Only it sounds different than at home. Lower.
That must be because we're out on the dunes. More echo.
I think it's getting louder.
Don't worry. The wind is my friend.
No, it's not.
I've just got a feeling about this, Joshi. I can't explain. You can go home anytime you like, but if you're coming along with me, you've got to trust me.
You mean I should believe in you even though there's no good reason?
Right.
Okay.
Suddenly a sandstorm was upon them. Stinging sand lashed at their eyes as they clung together in the sudden darkness.
Oh no! Ouch, my eyes!
Powerful winds battered them from all sides, knocking them off their feet. Desert sands heaved and rolled like waves on the ocean.
Joshi, hold my hand! Whoa!
Maya, where are you? Maya!
Soon Maya and Joshi were buried up to their waists. Then their necks. By the time the winds died down, not a trace of either could be seen. But then, a mysterious man appeared, making his way slowly across the newly settled sands. On his back was a large sack. In front of him, he held a forked stick, grasping the ends in each of his hands and swinging it slowly from side to side.
There is water around everywhere, waiting there to be found. Hidden sources abound everywhere for those who know where they flow. In the air that we breathe or buried deep underground, there is water around everywhere.
Suddenly the tip of the stick began to twitch, and the man began to move more quickly, almost as if he were being pulled along by it, until finally...
Aha!
The man tossed aside his stick, and pulling a shovel from his sack, he began to dig furiously until he discovered...
Kids!
Oh, thank you so much, mister.
You saved our lives.
I'm finding kids now.
I didn't think we'd ever get out of there.
I have half a mind to put you back, tricking me like that. I suppose you think you're pretty funny.
We didn't mean to trick you.
And what on earth were you doing hiding out under there?
We were caught in a sandstorm.
We got buried.
How did you ever find us?
I found you because you're juicy.
What do you mean?
I mean you're moist, damp, soggy, boggy, juicy.
Is he gonna eat us?
Wet behind the ears, too. And anything that's the least bit wet, I'll always find it.
Why?
Because of who I am.
Who are you?
I'm Belsnickel. But more to the point, I'm a water witch.
Well, which is it?
Yes.
Are you a what or a witch?
What?
So you're a what?
I'm a witch.
You just said you were a what?
When?
Just then, you switched.
Switch to what?
No, to witch.
What?
Witch!
Wait! I think I see what's going on here. I'm not a what or which. I'm a water witch.
Oh. What's that?
A water witch is someone who can find water hidden underground.
How do you do that?
I guess you could say it's by a kind of magic.
You can do magic?
Sometimes.
Where's your magic wand?
I don't have a wand, but I do have a Y.
A what?
No, it's called a Y.
Why?
That's right.
He means, why is it called that?
Ah, I see. When you're looking for a rationale, then why is the question you ask? But when you're looking for a moist locale, the tool that is best for the task is this. This is the Y of a witch.
Oh.
Well, show us what it does.
No, I don't need it right now.
When do you use it?
When, you say? When you're traveling across the sand and many a mile you have marched. If your traveling was poorly planned, there's a threat of a throat that's parched. And when you had that yen, you would be glad you had on hand a stick to scratch that particular itch. That is the when of the Y of a witch. There you are without a drop to drink. You're scared and prepared for the worst. And as you're standing there, you stop to think, am I gonna die of thirst? Just imagine if a tool could tell. Right below you is a cool wet well. Though the land where you stand looks as dry as a ditch. That is the where of the when of the why of a witch. Now perhaps you wonder, how does the why of a witch work? That I'm about to tell you by and by. When the water's under, that's when the tip will twitch, jerk. That is the how of the where of the when of the why.
Can I try?
No! Not just everybody's got the knack to tell where the well water lies. Don't imagine that the average hack is wise in the ways of wise. I'm especially inclined professionally. Finding water is my niche. And that is the who of the how of the where of the when of the why of a witch. Yes! I am the who of the how of the where of the when of the why of a witch.
Can I at least hold it?
Absolutely not. These are extremely rare. Would you like to know what this is made of?
Yes.
You would.
Yes. I would.
You would what?
I would like to know what it's made of.
You would!
Yes!
Will you two stop it? What is you wood?
Well, it's a kind of wood from a yew tree.
That came from a tree?
Yes, of course. That's where wood comes from.
So there really are trees.
Not many nowadays, but up north there is one last grove of evergreens.
You have to tell us how to get there. That's where we're going. We want to see the trees. For ourselves.
Oh, well, it's quite a long journey from here. Let's see. You have to follow the Chthonic River north until you come to the Saline Sea. And after you've crossed the sea, you'll come to the Lapidarian Forest. It's really too much for children on their own.
We can take care of ourselves, or at least I can.
Did you bring provisions?
See?
We have plenty of water, some biscuits, a tinderbox.
You'll never make it. Not on foot. No. You'll need this.
What is it?
This is a coconut shell. It's a kind of ancient artifact that comes from... well, never mind about that. This coconut is just a container for something more important. See inside? These little pebbles here are provisions enough for your whole journey.
Food?
Stop! Don't eat that!
I thought you were giving it to us.
But it's dehydrated.
What do you mean?
It's dried out. You have to add water. Like this. I take this red pebble, dip it into the bucket, and...
What is that?
It's an apple. And this green one is a cabbage.
What about this one?
That one is a watermelon. If you had eaten that, it would have sucked all the water out of your body and expanded inside your belly to about this size.
Wow, can I try it?
Joshi, just be quiet for a minute. Look, Mr. Belsnickel, we're grateful for this food, truly, but we really need to know how to get to the Evergreen Grove. Where do we find the Thakin, the Kithenok?
The Chthonic River? You're practically on top of it right now. It's a tremendous flow of water, just a few feet below the sand. But it's no good for drinking.
How are we supposed to follow it if it's underground?
We need a Y like yours.
Not for this, you don't. Just listen. Joshi listened as hard as he could. Listened deep down below the layers of sand and rock. Listened with his whole soul. And then he heard it. The swift rush of living water speeding through the ground. At first, he had to stay very close to the earth to follow the trail. But as they moved slowly across the dunes, the low rumble of the river became easier to follow. Soon it was second nature for him to hear the hum of the water below, the higher singing of the wind. For days the two children traveled, resting during the heat of the day and walking at night. Occasionally they would stop to eat, snacking on biscuits and rehydrating all kinds of exotic vegetables. Out of the coconut shell container came carrots, mangoes, Brussels sprouts, bananas, even an eggplant. Maya carefully noted the path of the river on her father's map, and then finally, at dawn one morning, after they'd walked farther than they thought possible, they saw it.
Water!
So much of it!
So this is where they're keeping it all.
I can't believe it.
Why? Yamma always told us most of the earth was covered with water.
I thought it was just one of her stories. This must mean we're getting warmer.
Funny, it seems colder.
What if all of it is true?
I don't see why it's so hard for you to believe a story.
It makes me wonder.
It makes me thirsty.
Joshi, wait!
Ugh, it tastes like tears.
The Chthonic River flows into this sea. Belsnickel said it was no good for drinking.
Well, he was right. What are we supposed to do now?
He said we have to cross the sea.
It's not very deep. Maybe we can walk.
I don't think that's a very good... Joshi?
It gets a lot deeper.
What if there were a way to go on top of the water? Remember back home? When you lower the pail into the well, it sits on top of the water.
No, it doesn't. It tips over and sinks.
It sinks once the water gets in, but not when it's upright. It's the same with the cup in the wash basin. Where's that coconut shell?
It's got all our food.
Here. If we could just be inside a cup or a bucket, I'll bet we could ride on top of the water.
We're not going to fit in a bucket.
Something bigger, like a giant bucket.
Where are we going to get that?
Well, maybe we'd have to make it.
Out of what? There's nothing here. Just the desert and the sea.
Just let me think for a minute.
I just don't think it would really stay on top of the water.
Joshi lowered the coconut shell toward the gently breaking waves. And the moment the shell touched the water...
Maya, look!
Where did you get that?
It's the coconut shell,
It grew?
just like the apple and the cabbage.
So the two climbed into the shell-shaped ship and upon the sea set forth.
It doesn't sink.
See? What did I tell you?
This is great. But how do we make it go?
I have an idea.
And they caught the wind with the makeshift sail and it carried them to the north.
This sure beats walking. I just hope we're going the right way.
We're supposed to cross the sea.
How much farther do you think it is?
All we have to do is keep the land directly behind us until we see land in front of us.
The seas were gentle and the sun was warm. The breeze was steady all day through. And soon the slightest trace of land had vanished from their view.
Do you think we're still going in the same direction?
It's hard to tell now.
It feels like the winds are changing.
And the day wore on as the sun grew red, sinking lower in the sky.
I think we're going in circles.
It all looks exactly the same in every direction. It's just water and more water all the way to the sky.
I know. I'm pretty sure this is the cucumber I dropped overboard a while back. Pickled.
And the steady wind that had been their friend now began to diminish and die.
Do you think the wind will ever come back?
I don't know.
It's getting dark.
I know.
The clouds hung motionless, the darkness fell. The seas became as smooth as glass. And now they sit in silence and in stillness as the hours slowly pass.
What do you think they're doing back home right now?
They're probably worried sick about us.
Really?
Mother's crying. Yamma's trying to tell her it'll be all right. Father and Uncle are out searching for us.
Do you think they'll find us?
No. The sandstorm swept our trail away.
We should go home. We're making everyone miserable.
We can't, Joshi. We've lost the wind.
Then we'll have to push ourselves through the water somehow. I must have brought something I can use.
Joshi, there's no point. We don't know which way is north or which way is home. We're in the middle of nowhere.
But maybe we can get out of the middle. Maybe we can get far enough to see land again. Aha! This water dipper will work.
I guess the wind really wasn't my friend. Maybe it's gone back to where it came from. I wonder where that is.
If only I had a big dipper.
Joshi, look! The stars are coming out.
If you tilt your head a bit, they look almost the same as they do back home.
Cassiopeia.
What?
Those 5 bright stars.
Where?
There.
I only see a kind of W.
That's the trouble, you have no imagination.
First a Y, now a W.
No, it's Cassiopeia's throne.
How do you know?
Mother used to tell me the story. Cassiopeia was the queen of Ethiopia. She boasted that she was more beautiful than even a sea nymph. And so the god of the sea flooded her lands until all of Ethiopia was covered by water.
This must be Ethiopia!
It's just a story, Joshi. I don't think it's real.
There are stories in the stars that the sailors used to steer by, and wherever they would go, they would know that an old familiar friend would be nearby. On the endless blackness of the open ocean, they would look to heaven's dome, and their stories in
Those 3 are his belt.
Oh.
And that one's the lion, see? The mane, the jaws, the pelt, the paws.
Maya, look. There's a hook.
That's the scorpion's tail.
And over there, a giant square.
That's Pegasus.
To the right, there's a kite that's about to set sail.
And just to the south, that circle is Pisces' mouth.
What did you say?
That's Pisces, the fish. I don't really know what a fish is.
No, before that. Where did you say it was?
Well, it's to the south of the Great Square of... It's to the south!
We know where we are!
There are stories in the stars.
Now we just have to find Ursa Major.
That's the Dipper.
That the
Right,
sailors
right.
used to steer.
There it is, it's a bear, I would wager.
And wherever they would go,
Going to those two going toward the horizon.
That's the line, that's the star that we're after.
on the endless blackness of the open ocean, they would look to follow on and on. Stories in the stars. Stories in the stars. Stories in the skies to lead us on our way back home. But home was still a long way off for Maya and Joshi. They now stood on the farther shore of a distant sea in a strange land. As the bright sun rose and the stars winked out one by one, they dragged their trusty coconut boat out of the water and tied it using Joshi's rope. Then they headed off into the wilderness, eager to see what they would find. The land around them seemed gray, bleak, cold, like metal. They trudged uphill until they could no longer see the ocean behind them. Eventually, they came to a vast plateau. It was strangely flat. Here and there were boulders dotting the landscape, like scattered toys. As they marched along the plain, the boulders became more regular and taller until they looked like eggs standing on end. Soon enough, the boulders began to look almost like pillars or watchmen standing quietly outside a gate. Then the boulders stopped looking like boulders and stretched to stand far above their heads, taller even than their father. The air tasted strange as they breathed it in, and Maya began to worry.
What is this place, Joshi?
I think it must be the forest.
These are trees?
Look, the trunks, the branches. It's just like Yamma said.
But different. They're so sharp looking.
It almost looks like they're made of...
Wait! Maybe you shouldn't touch them.
Why not?
I have a strange feeling about this place.
I just want to know. Solid rock. Do you think they grew that way?
I don't know, but let's keep going. Maybe this means we're getting closer to the real trees?
Look at this, Maya. There's something in this one. It's a fossil.
A what?
A fossil. It's when a creature gets trapped in stone and preserved for all time. I found a bunch of them back home, but none of them are this good. It's some sort of lizard, I think. See, there's the head, and there's the tail. I have to collect this.
No, just leave it alone, please, Joshi.
It'll only take a minute. Good thing I brought a hammer.
Joshi! You better stop.
I'm done. I got it. It wasn't me.
Do you feel that?
The ground is shaking.
It's getting louder. It sounds like...
Footsteps. Something is coming.
I don't want to find out what it is. Let's get out of here. Oh, never mind. It's too late.
What is it, Maya?
Some kind of animal, I think. It's an animal.
Who dares defile this forest? Who dares to touch my trees? Intruders, you are not welcome in these woods.
We're sorry. We didn't mean any harm.
Who are you?
I'm Maya, and this is my brother, Joshi. What's your name?
I am Takharus, a stag of this forest.
Maya, he looks like the trees. Ask him what he's made of.
Quiet, Joshi.
Why have you come here?
We were looking for trees.
Then you have found them.
But this isn't how the trees were supposed to be. There was supposed to be brown bark and green leaves. And the branches were supposed to sway in the breeze. Yamma said that the trees were living things, but everything here seems so dead.
You wonder how it happens, I can tell. How timber turns to granite, cell by cell. How slowly, day by day, the living wood gives way to stone. Once a grove of redwoods stood here in the shadow of the mountain, and beneath their canopy were others, pines, cedars, fir trees, climbing ivy. Living creatures of all sorts dwelt under the growth of leaves and vines. They were my friends. This was my home. One morning there's a trembling in the ground. Like deep and distant thunder comes the sound. All my friends begin to run, and so I'm the only one who sees. I turn to face the mountain. There's a flash, a burst of burning embers and hot ash. And the blast of it arrives with a forcefulness that drives me to my knees and buries me along with all these trees. Ash covered us. The water seeped through from above, encasing us, sealing us in. And as the years went by, what once was alive was changed. The molecules of ash and sand replaced the molecules of wood, turning the trees to solid stone. And I, the only witness left to tell, was altered by this tragedy as well. By the sudden shock that numbs and the hardening that comes with time. At first the transformation's all outside. An alabaster hoof, a marble hide. But it spreads beneath the skin till the blood that flows within is lime. It happens very slowly, it's nothing at the start. Paralysis creeps in by small degrees. It can happen to a human, it can happen to a heart. What happened to these trees? For so long I have walked these silent woods, the only one to bear witness, the only soul for whom these trees still existed. And now humans have come. It is a sign of something. I have seen your kind before. You come with saws and axes. You come to plunder!
No! We only wanted to look. I promise. Please, if you'll just let us go, we won't bother you anymore.
You may go.
Oh, thank you.
But your brother cannot.
What do you mean?
He has taken a piece of this forest. So now, He is a part of it.
You mean the fossil? He'll give it back. Joshi, give that piece of rock back to the stag so we can get out of here.
It's not so easy as that.
Joshi, just drop it.
I can't open my fingers.
Will you stop joking around?
I'm serious. I can't feel my hand.
What's happening?
The same thing that happened to the trees. Only for your brother, the change will come more quickly.
My arm, it feels cold and heavy.
Make it stop, please.
It is not my doing. It is the trees themselves that have this power.
Then we have to get out of this forest. Joshi, come with me. Run!
I can't.
Come on, I'm scared.
You're scared? I'm petrified.
No! I won't let it happen. I'll carry you out of here.
Maya, wait. It's no use. I don't think I'm gonna get loose. Though it's hard for me to speak this way, while there's time, let me say, don't be upset, it isn't so bad. Don't let our last few moments be sad. It doesn't hurt, it couldn't, I guess. I'm toughening up and feeling things less. I'll be alright, I'm gonna be strong, like boys are supposed to be. And I will wait no matter how long. Don't feel sorry for me, feel free. You have a mission you have to search on. I have to stay and be a place for birds to perch on. You have to follow your guiding star. And if you're tied to a rock like me, you'd never get far. You're getting warmer, I'm getting colder. You always told me I should be a little bolder. Too bad this boulder can't be there to help you shoulder the load. Instead, I'll stay put and slowly erode. Take back your hand before it's too late. You could be stuck like me if you wait. You know I can't help holding on still. You have to let go, 'cause I never will. Leave me behind and never look back. Go out and find your tree. No hug goodbye, I'd probably crack. Just promise you'll go. Do it for me. I want you to know. I want you to see. I want you to feel.
It should have been me. I was the one who ran away from home. He only wanted to protect me. He was afraid something terrible would happen to me, and now...
Nothing can happen to him now. He is safe.
But is he even alive?
No, but neither is he dead.
Is it forever?
I have always thought it was. I told myself that what happened to the forest and what happened to me could never be undone. I squeezed from my heart every last bit of hope until it was compressed into a cold, hard diamond. And yet, today I felt it soften. Your brother moved me. His faith in you, his willingness to sacrifice. I'd forgotten these things existed. And now I wonder if perhaps there is a way.
There has to be. Please, I'll do anything. Just tell me what to do.
You must do as your brother asked. You must prove that his faith in you was not misplaced, that his sacrifice was not in vain. You must find the living trees.
But they've all turned to stone.
Not all of them. There is a place where the earth is still fertile. It is dangerous, but that is where you must seek your trees.
Where?
Inside the mountain. Maya looked at the distant mountain, now silent. Her stomach gave a lurch as she thought of venturing on alone. But she shouldered Joshi's pack, took a deep breath, and headed off. The stone trees closed around her, and soon enough she could no longer see the clearing where Joshi stood. She kept looking back to make sure she would remember the path she had taken, to come back the same way and find Joshi again. The farther she went, the steeper the path became, until she was practically scrambling on her hands and knees up the hillside. As she climbed, it got colder. She shivered each time a gust of wind blew.
I have a mission I have to search on. I have to follow my guiding star.
At last, Maya reached the top and peered over the lip of the crater. Spread out below her in the broad, shallow bowl, she saw rich black soil dotted with lush green plants. And at the very center of the caldera, there they stood. Her heart filled with wonder as she ran down to the grove of trees. She could hardly believe it.
Beautiful, towering, quietly alive, elegant, intricate, clean, majesty and might, miracles of light, sweet smelling and ever so green. I don't know what it all could mean. Climbing like ladders to the sky, graceful boughs spread wide, some worn to splinters from all of the winters they have seen. Men in their hour of need rely on all that they provide. Shelter, fuel, a promise of renewal, everlasting, evergreen.
Drawing a strength from down below,
Where their roots run deep.
standing together through wind and through weather, they're serene. While countless seasons come and go, their silent watch they keep, swaying, bending, a sign of never-ending life.
lasting,
never living.
evergreen, How long have I been standing here? And when did it get so cold and dark? Now to make a campfire, now to gather kindling, little bits of fallen twigs and bark. Now to take the flint and strike a spark.
A spark caught. A tiny wisp of a flame began to flicker on one of the bits of bark. Maya sheltered it with her hands and breathed on it as gently as she could. The little flame grew and spread across the pile of kindling. Soon the blaze was strong enough for Maya to feed it with twigs and then sticks as thick as her arm. The bright warmth of the fire lifted Maya's spirits as flickering shadows danced all around her, and she joined them. Maya felt the wind tease her hair and turned to look back at the campfire. The flames billowed higher, lifted by the gentle breeze. Then came a stronger and longer gust. The fire leaned to one side with a scatter of sparks, licking the branches of the closest tree. Alarmed, Maya ran back. One of the trees was on fire. She pulled a blanket from her pack and tried to beat out the flames, but her efforts only seemed to feed them. The fire was climbing higher up in the tree beyond her reach. The wind continued to grow, and the flames leapt from tree to tree. Burning branches fell from above, crashing down among the trunks of the trees and igniting them. The smoke was so thick that Maya was forced to run, climbing back up to the rim of the crater. With tears and smoke in her eyes, she watched as the entire grove of evergreens was consumed by the fire. As the smoke finally began to clear, Maya crept back to the smoldering ruins of the grove and huddled near the charred trunks for warmth. But soon, even the last glowing embers winked out, and Maya was alone in utter darkness. Maya?
Grandmother? Is that you?
Yes, Maya.
I can't see you.
I can't see you either, but I'm here. Don't you know my voice?
Of course I do. But it's so dark. What happened?
The light has gone out of the world.
But why?
Who knows? But we must know the darkness to appreciate the light. Be patient, Maya.
Grandmother?
Yes?
I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'm sorry I wouldn't listen.
It's all right, Maya.
I wanted to see for myself.
And what did you see?
Oh, Yamma. I found them. The evergreens. I saw the trees.
And? How was it?
Just as you said. They were tall. Taller than 50 men, with arms and shoulders reaching out to climb on. And Yamma, the smell. You never told me about the smell. So clean, so sharp, and new, like green morning and breath like hope.
That's very well put, Maya. How could I forget?
But Grandmother, the trees, the fire, the wind came and the sparks, they flew up to the branches. I didn't mean to.
You tried to stop the fire from burning, Maya.
But you don't understand. It was too late. They burned. They're gone. Joshi's gone too. He followed me, and now he's trapped in the stone forest.
What is gone may come again.
How?
Feel, there, by your hand.
Ouch!
Oh, you found it, even in the dark.
It's sharp. What is it?
It is the new beginning. You will take it and keep it safe, and when the time comes, you will put it in the earth and wait for life to come again.
How will I know when it's time?
Oh, you will know, just as you knew it was time to make this journey.
Grandmother, what will happen now?
You must go back, of course. You must tell them what you saw.
But they won't believe me.
Does it matter?
If only Joshi could help.
You wouldn't be able to keep him quiet.
But how can I free him? And even if I can, how can we get home? It's so dark, I can't even see the stars. Yamma, will the light ever come back?
Perhaps.
What do you mean?
It is up to you. You must begin again.
Begin what?
The story.
I don't know if I remember the words.
Do you know how it starts?
I think so.
Then say what you remember, but make it your own.
When I was a girl,
In happier times than these,
growing all around us, there was a thing called trees. Ooh, there was a thing called trees, rising from the ground, to sway in a gentle sway, taller than the tallest tadpole. There was a thing called trees.
ooh, there was a thing called trees.
Ooh, there was a thing called trees. And as Maya stood in the deep darkness at the heart of the volcano, she heard the voices begin to grow in strength around her, and she knew she wasn't alone. Then she put her foot out carefully and found that underneath it there was a soft path. Slowly, she began to move forward again, one foot in front of the other, almost creeping at first, but gradually faster and faster until she was practically flying down the slope of the mountain. Ahead of her, she could see the trunks of the stone trees thrusting up from the ground, and she sped towards them. She remembered the way exactly. And before long, she saw Joshi standing in front of her, just as she had left him. Suddenly, she knew what she had to do. She took the sharp pine cone she still held in her hand and placed it in Joshi's cold stone palm. She pushed on his stiff fingers, and they closed around it. And as she watched, his hand turned from solid rock to warm, living flesh, and he began to breathe again. 3. You're back!
And so are you.
I didn't think I'd ever hear your voice again.
I knew you'd find a way. Did you find the trees?
Yes! Oh, Joshi, I wish you could have been there.
It's all right. I don't need to see them.
But you wouldn't believe how...
No, Maya, I do believe.
You always did.
And now you do too.
Now everyone will.
Look, Maya, it's snowing.
It's beautiful.
Come on. Let's go home.
There are stories in the stars that the sailors used to
different somehow.
No, it doesn't. It looks perfect. There's the tent, there's the bucket in the well.
And here's my broom, just where I left it.
It's us! We're back!
Joshi, is that you?
Yes, Yamma, we did it! I didn't get to see the trees, but Maya did. And look what she found!
What's that? Ah, a pine cone.
A pine cone? What's a pine cone?
Joshi, Maya, you were away so long.
Were you worried about us?
Of course. But Yamma told me you would come back when you were ready.
We followed your trail, but we lost your tracks in the northern dunes. There were signs of a great storm. I thought we'd lost you for good.
But then we met a strange man who called himself Belsnickel. He told us he had met you and seemed to think you would be just fine. He gave us something called an artichoke and sent us on our way.
An artichoke? Can I see?
Oh, certainly. I haven't yet figured out how to eat it.
It's very spiky. A lot like the pine cone.
We kept going north until we reached a wide expanse of water. But we had no way to cross, so we turned back.
You needed the coconut boat.
Oh, Father, then you were there? You saw the Great Sea?
I didn't think it was possible. So much water.
Neither did I, but it's true. See, here, I charted it all on the map. I knew you'd want to know the way.
My map!
Sorry. But look, maybe we can go back there someday. Together.
Perhaps Maya would like to tell us of her journey?
Yes, tell us, Maya. What did you see?
Well, I don't really know where to start. It's all so hard to believe. I wish I could explain it.
You don't have to explain, Maya. We believe you.
You do?
Of course.
So Maya sat down, and the children gathered around her, and she began to tell her story. She was nervous because she wanted to tell it well and not leave out any important details, especially about her heroic younger brother, Joshi. She began at the beginning and told of all her adventures through the desert, across the sea, and into the stone forest until she found the evergreen trees. And she showed them the pine cone she had brought back as proof.
And as the children listened, the walls of the tent seemed to disappear around them.
And when they held Maya's pine cone in their hand, the desert outside began to change.
Pale sand shifted, and grass began to grow.
Rocks sprouted twigs. Then entire tree trunks began to rise up from the earth.
Green vines pushed through the dirt and climbed up the rough bark.
The desert wind, once hot and dry, was cool and gentle and stirred the new leaves on branches arching over them.
Fresh streams sprang up from the ground between the roots of the trees.
Ferns curled at the edge of the water, and thick moss covered the rocks.
Animals of all sorts returned to the woods, living amongst the lush green boughs.
And standing tall above it all was the evergreen tree, which grew from the first pine cone which Maya brought home from her journey.
Climbing like ladders to the sky, graceful boughs spread wide.
Some worn to splinters from all of the winters they have seen.
Men in their hour of need rely on all that they provide. Shelter, fuel,
A promise of renewal everlasting.
Evergreen.
Evergreen, evergreen.
Down from the dawn of humankind, a faith was handed on.
Nation to nation, through each generation in between.
Faith that when summer's at an end and warmer days have gone, always, truly, this world can be newly made. Everlasting.
Ever living.
ever giving,
Ever hoping, ever praying,
ever changing, ever staying,
Ever learning.